Having watched the second test in Sydney between Australia and India, I, like everyone else it seems, am left with a sour taste in my mouth. Undoubtedly, the umpiring was the cause of most of the turmoil. First, Ponting is given out leg before wicket to a blatant bat pad delivery, which the Indians have no trouble appealing for in wild fashion. The wicket is mistakenly given. Then Simons nicks the ball to slip and is given not out. Again, a clear decision which the umpires got wrong. On this day, I believe Clarke also makes a strange move of staying at his crease after nicking the ball to slip. On the final day, a few more decisions arise. Dravid is dismissed in terrible fashion. The replays and all the fancy technology, snicko, heat sensing, etc., show that he had missed the ball by a considerable margin. Then Ganguly was caught by Clarke and slip and refused to walk. Finally, there was Ponting's catch of Dhoni. As the Australians celebrated their gripping victory, a few handshakes were made and the Indians promptly left the field. Kumble then headed at full steam to the press conference, where he claimed that the Australians weren't playing within the spirit of the game, and cites an initial agreement that the players would be honest whenever a catch is taken, implying that by constantly appealing for catches and leg before decisions, they somehow broke this agreement. Following Kumble's press conference, it is Ponting's turn. He is questioned about the legitimacy of his catch of Dhoni. According to the official rules, a fair catch, or a catch is deemed fair if throughout the act of making a catch, any fielder in contact with the ball is within the field of play, and that the ball is in no time in contact with any object rounded beyond the boundary. The ambiguity arose in this situation because the ball touched the ground after Ponting lunged to catch it. However, he had control of it throughout the entirety and it never left his hand, so it counts as a catch. As is now known to every cricket fan, Harbhajan Singh was cited for racism following comments made to Simons, and in protest the Indian cricket team is threatening a withdrawal if their demands are not met. Meanwhile, every media outlet and every person who has ever disliked the Australian team is jumping on them like a pack of vultures feasting on a rotten carcass. Peter Roebuck claims, If Cricket Australia cares a fig for the tattered reputation of our national team and our national sport, it will not for a moment tolerate the sort of arrogant and abrasive conduct seen from the captain and his senior players. He argues that the Australian team slipped in secretive sledging, prompting the reaction from Harbhajan. Implies that Hayden is disrespectful when he acknowledges his religion after scoring a century, and even questions the legitimacy of Clarke's catch. To conclude his argument, Roebuck criticises the match reaction, what basically amounted to a miniature mosh pit from the Australians. I'm presenting this video to highlight the rabid need to win consuming the Australian team and the stubborn refusal to lose plaguing the Indian team. I consider the latter worse and, contrary to popular sentiment, at larger fault in this fiasco. First, the demeanour of the Australians. Ponting is a hard, uncompromising man. He doesn't just play matches, he fights them with a passion largely unmatched in international cricket. Winning is not just the conclusion of a game to him, it is his life. And so it should be. It is his job. The professional crux of his life. Anyone who doesn't display passion for their work is in the wrong business. The unfortunate downside for Ponting is that he needs to win. He has been winning for so long, the whole Australian team has, that they feel they need to keep winning at all costs. In this match, this constituted remaining at the crease and thus given out as well as appealing for half chances on a regular basis. Simons remained at his crease and later admitted that he knew he was out. As far as I'm concerned, this is the only act by the Australian team played outside the spirit of the game. I considered Clarke's brief refusal to walk, but he seemed more surprised to be dismissed than stubborn and merely awaited confirmation of his fate. I also decided to omit Ponting's supposed urging of our umpire Mark Benson following Ganguly's dismissal, because replays show he is confused and signals for confirmation, not to pressure. Apart from that, the Australians played like a team excited to win. They appealed vigorously, an action that places the onus on the umpires and really has nothing to do with the players. If a wicket is given by the umpire, and the players appealed for it, they must have thought it was out. They celebrated in a wild mosh like any team does in a close victory. The Indians, on the other hand, have exposed themselves as amateurs in a professional sport. I believe the ill feelings began when India won the 2020 World Cup. Suddenly they too were world champions and have since then cultivated an aggression and an arrogance to match that of the Australians. The one-day matches between the two sides following the aforementioned World Cup tournament exemplified this change. Suddenly the Indians were in your face. Sreesanth in particular made horrible gnashing faces indicating he'd rather bite off an arm than take a wicket. His actions also prompted the infamous monkey incident where players were ejected for making racist gestures to Simons. Fast forward to late 2007. The Indian players arrive with the clear intention of winning. The stakes are raised for two since it is likely this is their last appearance. Tendulkar, a fantastic batsman, one of my favourite players, and Kumble, a tricky spin. So the games get underway, and the first match ends in a conclusive victory. I think it was about 337 runs. Hurt as any side would be, India vowed to give a stronger performance in the second test. After Ponting is dismissed incorrectly, they too celebrate in wild fashion, only to complain that Simons didn't walk after he was caught. The fact of the matter is that he should have walked, but considering Simons has stated many times that he does not believe in walking, this should not come as a surprise, and certainly should not have created the uproar that it did. In the following days, Harbhajan becomes the centre of attention. First, he racially abuses Simons, and then celebrates the dismissal of Ponting by sprinting half the field, rolling on the ground as if he's on fire, and then bowing to the audience. On the final day, India displayed their refusal to lose. Dhoni refuses to walk after the ball catches his glove and is caught by Ponting, and then Ganguly does the same thing after being caught by Clark. The umpiring could have been much better. I do not dispute that. However, I believe it is telling that of the two teams, both of which sledged and behaved excessively in the pursuit of victory, it is the Indians who have demanded the sacking of umpires and threatened to boycott the series unless Harbhajan is let off for his racist comments, totally inappropriate I might add, whilst the Australians are just going back to work.